Sukio too, and a very good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to the weekly Sunday Pūjā in Unison and Dhamma Insurance Online, an initiative of Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia and is hosted by MSBS and DBV. Back with us this week, we have Brother Ananda Fong to share on wholesome living lessons from Mangala Sutta. Over to you, Brother Ananda.
Thank you, Brother Terence. Starting off with a short puja. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. As Brother Terence has kindly introduced, today's topic is about wholesome living. This is more like a part one because of the other material we would like to go through today. The last month, we were covering the Mangala Sutta, blessing number 11, 12, and 13. Today, we'll be covering blessing number 14 and 15. Blessing number 16 and 17, we will cover in another session. In the end, we have to come across the aspect of what we desire, what is welcome in our lives. The Buddha has mentioned to the householders that there are 5 things that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable but difficult to obtain in the world. What are these 5? Long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and rebirth in heaven. Now, of these 5 things, House Lord, the Buddha said, I do not teach that they are to be obtained through prayer, nor through wishing. If one could obtain them through prayer or wishing, who would not obtain them? So this gives rise to the notion that Buddhists do not pray, as advised in this particular sutta. So what else can we do? The Buddha went straight to say, he should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and rebirth in heaven. By following such a path, you obtain all these. So the key issue is we need to follow a way of life. Hence, in the Mangala Sutta, in this particular series, we are talking about things we can do, a way of life we can conduct, not just mere praying. And today, of course, we talk about a certain blessing contained in the Mangala Sutta, acts of giving. On the top left, you have a picture of Pintachara. So we can offer material, that means in this case, offer food during a Pintachara to the monastics. Bottom left, we have people who offer life, a way of saving people. In this case, donating blood, which is particularly praised and organized by many Buddhist societies, especially during this period, the Visakha Pūjā period. And of course, the ultimate is that of Dhamma sharing. The ultimate gift is to share the Dhamma so that people can learn and they can take care of themselves. Now, a certain commentary mentioned that dana, generosity or charity to others, with a genuine heart and intention is a great blessing. It is the first of the 3 bases of making merit for happiness in this life and future lives. The other 2 being morality and meditation, or sila bhavana, or in Pali, we call it dana sila bhavana. It is also the first of the 10 perfections that an aspirant to enlightenment has to fulfill, and the first of the 10 meritorious acts that one can perform to accumulate merit. In the Dana Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha had described 3 factors in the donor that can enhance the quality of the act of giving. The donor should be glad before giving. The donor's mind should be glad and clear while giving. And the donor should feel gratified after giving. What is offered by the donor may belong to one of these three groups, namely material gifts, gift of fearlessness, and the gift of Dhamma. The Buddha has stated that the gift of Dhamma is superior to all other gifts. So this is a short commentary on this particular aspect. Now, from the Buddha himself, the Buddha has mentioned in this particular sutta found in the Iti Vuttaka of the Khuddaka Nikaya, if beings knew, as I know, the result of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would they allow the stain of meanness to obsess them and take root in their minds. So this is how important giving or dana is on the path to enlightenment. As mentioned in the commentary, there are three kinds of giving. So the Pali, you're talking about amisa dana, giving of requisites, that is food, lodging, etc. That is typical in the Pintachara or dana, or as most Buddhists refer, when they say dana, they automatically refer to amisa dana, talking about offering food to the monastics. But there are other types. Abhaya dana. Now, bhaya, B-H-A-Y-A, means danger or fear. Abhaya means lack of danger or fearless. So the dana means to give. So giving fearlessness. So the giving of fearlessness, of safety or protection from danger is another way we can offer. And of course, ultimately, Dhamma dana, giving the knowledge of Dhamma, the noblest among gifts. And from the Dhammapada, you have this particular, the gift of Dhamma excels all gifts. The taste of Dhamma excels all tastes. The gift of Dhamma excels all delights. The craving free vanquishes all suffering. And this is from Dhammapada verse 354. Now, there are many aspects to dana that can be dealt with. And here in the next few slides, I will only provide an excerpt of some of these important aspects, but more particularly pertaining to what we see here and now in this world. Now, in the Siha Senapati Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya Book of 5, Sutta number 34, the conversation between the Buddha and the General Siha. Now, it is not the case that I, General Siha, was saying, go by conviction or confidence or faith in the Blessed One with regard to them. I know them too. Now, this aspect, I know them too, is very important. The Buddha is not asking you to pray or just to believe him, but to analyze the situation and then see whether it's reasonable. And if that is, it pass the first round of analysis, then you should practice them and put them in your life. And when you practice them out of confidence or conviction in what the Buddha said, then you get to know these practices and you get to see its results. And there, the Buddha encourages you to transform yourself, change yourself from just mere believing or having faith in what the Buddha said to I know them too. It means you internalize this aspect. Once you know the efficacy, the real results of what the Buddha has taught, you can dispense with faith or saddha or conviction because you know them. Who needs to believe? Who needs to have faith when I know them? So this is a very important point. And General Siha is a practitioner of the Dhamma and he knows them too, as he declares here. I am one who gives, a master of giving, dear and charming people at large. Good people, people of integrity, admire me. My fine reputation is spread far and wide. Siha is generous, a doer, a supporter of the Sangha. When I approach any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, or contemplatives, I do so confidently and without embarrassment. So this is an extract from this particular sutta. Now, going a little bit deeper into the sutta, the General Siha was asking the Buddha to point out something, which is the more complete portion of the sutta. Is it possible Lord, to point out a fruit of giving. Dana pala. Dana means giving. Palang or pala, P-H-A-L-A, meaning the fruit or the results of. So is it possible, Lord, to point out a fruit of giving, visible in the here and now? Sandittika is a quality of the Dhamma. As elsewhere, we have recited or we have come across the term, a quality of the Dhamma is visible here and now, which is very important. When you practice something and change something in your life, you want to see the results, not hope to get the results after you pass away. So this is an important thing. One way to verify the efficacy or effectiveness, or in a way, some people use the term truthfulness of what the Buddha has taught. By seeing, when you practice it, you see the results here and now in this life, not afterlife. And the Buddha replied, it is possible, see her, one who gives, who is a master of giving, is dear and charming to people at large. And the fact that who gives, who is a master of giving, is dear and charming to people at large, this is the fruit of giving visible in the here and now. Furthermore, good people, people of integrity, admire one who gives, who is a master of giving. And the fact that good people, people of integrity, admire one who gives, who is a master of giving, this too is a fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. Furthermore, the fine reputation of one who gives, who is a master of giving, is spread far and wide. And the fact that the fine reputation of one who gives, who is a master of giving, is spread far and wide, this too is the fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. Furthermore, when one who gives, who is a master of giving, approaches any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, or contemplatives, he or she does so confidently and without embarrassment. And the fact that when one who gives, who is a master of giving, approaches any assembly of people, noble warriors, Brahmans, householders, or contemplatives, he or she does so confidently and without embarrassment, this too is a fruit of giving, visible in the here and now. Furthermore, at the breakup of the body, after death, one who gives, who is a master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world, which means a person who gives regularly, confidently, making it as part of his life. What happens on passing away? The person gets a chance to be born in the higher worlds, higher than human realm, the Deva world, maybe even the Brahma world. And the fact that at the breakup of the body after death, one who gives, who is the master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world, this is a fruit of giving in the next life. Now, when this was said, General Seer said to the Blessed One, as for the four fruits of giving visible in the here and now that have been pointed out by the Blessed One, it is not the case that I go by saddha or conviction or faith in the Blessed One. With regard to them, I know them too. So here, the General Seer emphasized the issue that he does not need to go by faith. There's no need to have faith in what the Buddha said. But when you practice them, you come to know them too. And General Seer continues, I am one who gives, a master of giving, dear and charming people, and charming to people at large. Good people, people of integrity, admire me, my fine reputation, far and wide. See her is generous, a doer, a supporter of the Sangha. When I approach any assembly of people, noble or warriors, Brahmans, householders, and contemplatives, I do so confidently and without embarrassment. Now, but when the Blessed One says to me, at the breakup of the body after death, one who gives, who is a master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world, that I do not know. That is where I go by conviction in the Blessed One. So clearly, here the General Seer is saying, on affairs of afterlife, he cannot verify because he's still alive in this life. And therefore, he has to go by faith or conviction or confidence in the Blessed One. And it's easy to go by conviction or confidence in the Buddha because all the other aspects, especially verified in the here and now, are true, then you have verified it. And General Seer can say, I know, because he experiences it himself. Then from there, one can extrapolate and say, and have confidence in the Buddha when the Buddha says, at the breakout of the body, a person can reappear in a good destination. So the Buddha replied, so it is, Seher, so it is. At the breakout of the body, after death, one who gives, one who is the master of giving, reappears in a good destination, the heavenly world. Now here is interesting. In this particular sutta, there was no talk about meditation or anything. Just the mere practice of dana, giving consistently, habitually, frequently, with the right mindset, one can already plot or sow the seeds for one to be born in a good destination, the heavenly world. What more if you were to meditate and so on? Now, of course, a common question among all those who want to know about giving is, to whom should we give? So in the Vacha Sutta, also from the Anguttara Nikaya, in this case, Book of 3, Sutta number 57, the Buddha says, even if a person throws the rinsings of a bowl or a cup into a village pool upon thinking, may whatever animals live there here feed on this. That would be a source of merit, to say nothing of what is given to humans. But I do say that what is given to a virtuous person is of great fruit, and not so much what is given to an unvirtuous person. So it's not a mere aspect of dana to anybody, but between virtuous and unvirtuous people. So how do we verify? So if you were to give to any Tom, Dick, and Harry, as the saying goes, in the street, you will acquire merits. But if you were to give to a virtuous person, that means you have verified that this person is virtuous, and you do dana to this person, the benefits are of great fruit. And at the bottom of this page, and the virtuous person has abandoned 5 factors and is endowed with 5. So how does a person verify that so and so, whom you hope to offer dana to, is virtuous? You have to abandon 5 factors, and it's endowed with another 5 factors, 5 and 5. So which 5 has he abandoned? He has abandoned sensual desire, ill will, sloth and drowsiness, restlessness and anxiety, uncertainty or doubt. These are the 5 factors he has abandoned. Now, for those, you might recognize that this list of 5 is literally the 5 hindrances, the pancha nivarana. Those who go for meditation, you will realize that these are the 5 that hinder you or put up obstacles in your quest to deepen your concentration in your meditation practice. So a person who is meditative, a virtuous person, is one who has practiced this and is probably able to go deep into meditation too. What are the 5 factors he possesses? The entire spectrum of an adept or beyond training person. Now, a person who is beyond training, in the Pali word is asekena. Now, sekha, S-E-K-K-H-A, means a person who is under training. People like us, Buddhists, we have not attained any of the Arya stages, even Sotapan at the lowest. That means we are still under training. A person who has gone beyond training, asekha, means the person has at least entered the Arya stages, even at the lowest at Sotapan. At the highest, of course, Arahat. So the person possesses these 5 factors. What are these 5 factors? This person has sila or ethics, has samadhi, immersion, or some translations call samadhi as concentration. This person has panya, wisdom. And because the person is already beyond training, this person has vimutti, freedom or liberation. And of course, knowledge and vision of freedom. Vimutti, jnana, dasana, the knowledge of freedom. These are the 5 factors they possess. Of course, for most of us, it is difficult for us to know who is beyond training. but we have to observe and evaluate the potential candidate to whom we would hope to be able to provide dana. So I tell you, what is given to one who has abandoned these 5 factors and is endowed with these 5 bears great fruit. Now, the topic of dana is very wide. In many portions of the Tipitaka, especially the Sutta Pitaka, the Buddha dwells on this aspect or that aspect. In the earlier slides, we only covered 2 suttas that dwell on this. And here in this potential list of areas that we may want to know about is colored yellow. So we already talked about importance and kinds of giving. We already talked about many fruits of giving and to whom and when should we give. But we haven't talked about different motives, different fruits. Even though both 2 persons want to give the same item to a recipient, depending on your motive, you have different fruits. You have talk about giving to 8 worthy individuals, requisite of spiritual progress. Dana is very important if one wants to gain enlightenment. So it is a requisite for spiritual progress on the Noble Eightfold Path. And of course, the qualities of giver. And of course, if you look through the Sutta Pitaka, there are many other areas which the Buddha enlightens us on this. But there is insufficient time this morning to cover all this. Now, moving to the next blessing in the Mangala Sutta, conduct according to Dhamma. And obviously, this is per the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, in the commentary, there's mentioned, living by the Dhamma essentially means avoiding unwholesome physical, verbal, and mental actions. And engaging in wholesome actions is a blessing. By engaging in wholesome actions, one is able to weaken the 3 unwholesome roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Now, living by the Dhamma may also refer to cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path, consisting of the 3 training stages of morality, concentration, and wisdom for the benefit of one's spiritual development. So this is from the commentarial aspect of this particular blessing. But if you look clearly through many suttas, and in this particular case, the Buddha's way of encouraging us to cultivate ourselves is first to refrain from what is unwholesome, as mentioned by the commentary. Now, refraining from what is unwholesome. So we have to identify what constitutes unwholesomeness and how do we refrain from them. What are the lists? And of course, we have to do the opposite. We steadfast in good qualities. And this is taken from the Mangala Sutta itself, which teaches us this. We refrain from unwholesome behavior and we cultivate good qualities. Now, from the Punya Abhisanda Sutta, Punya means the merits, Abhisanda means rewards of merits. Here, we list the basic practice of morality or cultivation of sila, that we should observe the 5 precepts. Note here, in Buddhism, the Buddha didn't introduce the 5 commandments. There are no commandments in Buddhism. There are only precepts. What are precepts? The Pali word is called Sikkhapada. It means training guides. So 5 precepts are, in other words, 5 training guides. And what do these 5 training guides do? They encourage you to abstain from a list of 5 things. And why should you bother to abstain? It is because of the fact that, because of the motives and roots in our minds that they come up before we perform all these actions. It generates unwholesome energies. We call it bad. In common Buddhist language, we generate bad karma. And any karmic energy generated have a way of boomerang. They come back to you as results, as vipaka. Vipaka is the other Pali word. Karma is to do something. Vipaka is to experience the results, whether pleasant or unpleasant. So the 5 precepts or the 5 training guides assist us in not making more of these unwholesome energies, not performing these bad karma, as I say. So the list consists of abstention from killing living beings, abstention from taking what is not given, commonly we call that stealing, abstention from sexual misconduct, abstention from false speech, abstention from taking intoxicants. So by abstaining from this, and because through our observance of these 5 training guides, we help ourselves. The key word is we help ourselves by not making bad karma. So which means we protect ourselves from future unpleasant results because of actions if we were to do this. But at the same time, although we abstain from this list of 5 training guides, we also need to be steadfast in good actions, as in the Mangala Sutta. And here, I introduce the term the 5 ennoblers. Now, they are still training guides, but it is different from precepts. Precepts is to abstain. Ennoblers means please do. Ennoblers means it ennobles us. It makes us more noble. Now, what are these 5 ennoblers? These are the direct opposite of the abstention. So if you abstain from killing, please save lives. Please heal beings who are hurt, and so on. The direct opposite. Abstaining from taking one is not given or stealing, please be more generous. Please do dana, and so on. So it is quite commonsensical. So by practicing the 5 ennoblers, the compassion arises in our mind because we are doing this to other living beings, especially humans or higher. What happens? We generate good karma, as the common Buddhists would say. When we generate wholesome karmic energies, and all energies come back and impact our life in this life or in the hereafter. Now, what happens? Our life turns to the better, the more pleasant life. So by observing the 5 precepts, by cultivating abstention, we don't make bad karma. By practicing the 5 ennoblers, we make good karma. All this makes for a more pleasant life. So this is the entry point of the cultivation of morality. And of course, there are other suttas here. In this particular sutta, the Velu Davareya Sutta, the people of the bamboo gate, from the Samyutta Nikaya, Sutta number 50, chapter 55, Sutta number 7, the Buddha elaborates on the aspect of Panatipata. So a noble disciple reflects, why should I bother to practice the avoidance of destruction of life, of killing living beings? So I want to live, I don't want to die. I want to be happy and recoil from pain. Since this is so, if someone were to take my life, I wouldn't like that. But others also want to live and don't want to die. They want to be happy and recoil from pain. So if I were to take the life of someone else, they wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on someone else? So this is the reasoning or reflection we can do when we want to encourage ourselves to avoid destruction of life. And furthermore, your practice deepens by they give up killing living creatures themselves. This is the first aspect, first observance. But then they go beyond that, and they encourage others to give up killing living creatures. This is an important thing. They don't just practice for themselves, but they encourage others to give up killing. And when other people practice the giving up of killing living creatures, they praise this action of giving up killing living creatures. So their bodily behavior is purified in 3 points. So this is the deeper aspect of practicing the 5 precepts. In this case, the first precept of avoiding killing living creatures. That means they themselves give up the killing, they encourage others. When others practice it, they praise the giving up of killing living creatures. Now moving on to adinadana, taking what is not given, or commonly called avoiding stealing. If someone were to steal from me, I wouldn't like that. But if I were to steal from someone else, they wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on someone else? Reflecting in this way, they give up stealing themselves. They encourage others to give up stealing. They praise the giving up of stealing. So their bodily behavior is purified in 3 points. So the practice has deepened when they do these 3 points. In Kamisu Michachara, sexual misconduct, if someone were to have sexual relations with my wives, I wouldn't like that. But if I were to have sexual relations with someone else's wives, he wouldn't like that either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by others. Since I dislike this, how can I inflict it on others? So they give up sexual misconduct themselves, and they encourage others to give up sexual misconduct, and they praise the giving up of sexual misconduct. So their bodily behavior is purified in these 3 points. In Musavada, avoiding speaking falsehood or lying, a noble disciple reflects, if someone were to distort my meaning by lying, I wouldn't like that. But if I were to distort someone else's meaning by lying, they wouldn't like it either. The thing that is disliked by me is also disliked by someone else. Since I dislike this thing, how can I inflict it on others? Reflecting in this way, they give up lying themselves, and they encourage others to give up lying. And they also praise the giving up of lying. So their verbal behavior is purified in these 3 points. And the sutta continues. The sutta covers other aspects of speech also. But in the end, in Dhammapada verse 18, Itta nandati, pecha nandati, papapkari, ubayata nandati, papang me katanti nandati, biyo nandati sugating gato. The doer of good delights here and hereafter. He delights in both the worlds. The thought, good have I done, delights him, and he delights even more when gone to realms of bliss. So in this particular Dhammapada verse, it's clear that the Buddha says the person who does good, does wholesome things in this life, delights here, which means there is sandhitika, visible, the results are visible here and now. And of course, any excess energy will spill over into the hereafter. So he delights in both here and the other world, in both the worlds. The thought, good have I done, delights him, and he delights even more when gone to realms of bliss. That means reborn into the blissful realms, the higher realms, the Deva realms, and so on. So that covered the blessing number 14 and 15. Now, blessing number 16 and 17, we will do at another time. Now, with all these many sessions of covering the blessings, okay, most of these have been taught to us by our parents, particularly the closest one, our mothers. In the Iti Vuddaka, the Buddha has said, in this case, not just mother, but father too. Mother and father, compassionate to their family, are called Brahma. So mother and father are the gods in the family. They are our first teachers, who's worthy of gifts from their children. So the wise should pay them homage, honor. Performing these services to their parents, the wise are praised right here. Okay. As mentioned by Brother Terence, today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all mothers. And of course, in 10 days' time, the Buddhist world will be commemorating or observing Vesak Day. It is not a commercial day, it's a religious observance day. We call it Vesak Day or Buddha Day. And in the few slides following, we'll touch on its significance in brief. Now, what is Vesak in essence? Vesak, during the month of Vesaka, is an extremely important period in the Buddhist tradition. For it is in this month that the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, that means a being who is striving to attain Sammasambuddhahood, this Bodhisattva was born. Notice, I did not say the Buddha was born. Why? No one is ever born as a Buddha. The person strives to attain Buddhahood. So the person born is a Bodhisattva, unenlightened, or at least not yet enlightened. So the Bodhisattva was born. At 35 years, attained unexcelled self-awakening, Buddhahood. And after teaching for 45 years, attained Mahaparinibbana. So Vesak is a tri-sacred day or tri-sacred day of the birth, Buddhahood, and Mahaparinibbana of this person, our teacher. And of course, the birth, the Prince Siddhartha was born in Lumbini Gardens near the border of India and Nepal. And born, as far as the Buddhist history is concerned, born in the year 623 before Common Era. Notice in this particular artistic rendition, the mother, Queen Mahamaya, is standing in Lumbini Garden, right hand holding a branch of the sal tree. This is a characteristic feature of the birth scene. And quickly moving forward, the Bodhisattva went to the Bodhi tree, or what in those today the species is called the Pipal tree, and only after attaining Buddhahood was that particular tree. Only that particular tree is called the Bodhi tree. All other trees are called Pipal trees. But the quest for enlightenment started on Vesak Eve, on the evening, with the first knowledge, and in the middle of the night, the second knowledge. And this particular extract here from the Mahasajjaka Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 36, we're talking about the third knowledge, the third watch of the night, from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Vesak morning. And the Bodhisattva by now declares, my heart, thus knowing, thus seeing, was released from the fermentation of sensuality, released from the fermentation of becoming, released from the fermentation of ignorance. With release, there was the knowledge released. I discern that birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, and the task done. There's nothing further for this world. Now, this particular extract here, especially the statement, birth is ended, is critical. Why? Some people ask the question, where is the Buddha now? Okay, when they ask this question, they assume that the Buddha was reborn somewhere in samsara, another heaven reserved for Buddhas in samsara. That is not the case. To be reborn in the sangha, in the samsara, means you have not uprooted the defilements, the fermentation of sensuality, becoming, and ignorance. But since in this case, the Bodhisattva now transforming to become a Buddha, mentioned that birth is ended, there is no more rebirth for an Arahat, for the Buddha. And therefore, the Buddha is nowhere in samsara, not within the 31 planes of existence. So the Buddha himself declared this, birth is ended. This is the third knowledge I attained in the third watch of the night, as I mentioned, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. on early Vesak morning. Ignorance was destroyed, knowledge arose, darkness was destroyed, light arose, as happens in one who is heedful, ardent, and resolute. So the Bodhisattva attained Buddhahood at the age of 35 years. Incidentally, Sammasambuddha, we often call the Bodhisattva who got enlightened under the Pipal tree. The Pipal tree later became the Bodhi tree as a Sammasambuddha. What does Sammasambuddha mean? Sama means fully, perfectly, completely. Now, notice there's another prefix to the word Buddha. Buddha, all of us know, means awakened or enlightened. But what does Sam mean? Sam means self. So perfectly self-enlightened or self-awakened. Okay. So the key aspect is self is very important. Why? There was no angel, no God who whispered into the Bodhisattva's ears to give him enlightenment. He did it all by himself and became perfectly self-awakened. And a short while later, while still around the Bodhi tree area, the Brahma Sampati encouraged the Buddha to survey the world to see whether there are people who can understand what he could teach. Because before that, the Buddha reviewed the Dhamma that he had realized and found that it was very deep and most people would not understand. But Brahma Sampati came down and invited the Buddha to survey the world with his Buddha vision to see whether there were people, anyone who could possibly understand what he could share. And after surveying the world, as recorded in the Ayacana Sutta from the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter number 6, Sutta number 1, the Buddha declared, "Open are the doors to the deathless, to those with ears. Let them show their conviction." So here, the Buddha declares, after surveying the world, and found out that there were many who could understand what he would say. There are those with little dust in their eyes, which is an important aspect. And from there, from the Bodhi tree, the Buddha went over to the deer park and met up with the 5 ascetics. And in the first sermon, the first lecture, the first teaching the Buddha gave, the Dhamma Chakra Pavatana Sutta, setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion, recorded in the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter number 56, Sutta number 11. In the middle of the Sutta, the Buddha said, "Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of dukkha." And the Sutta continues. The key word here is with regard to things never heard before. So definitely the gods haven't heard of this also. And who are these 5 ascetics as given in the artistic rendition on the right-hand side? The Pancha Vagya, Pancha means 5, Vagya means the ascetics. The 5 ascetics comprise of Kondanya, Asaji, Bhaddiya, Vappa, and Mahanama. Kondanya was the oldest, and in this picture is the venerable seated on the left-hand side with the white hair. Notice all the other 4 have black hair. They are very much younger. Then soon after that, during the first sermon, the Kondanya understood what the Buddha was saying, and he attained the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapan. And in the second sermon, the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, all 5 of these ascetics attained arahatship. And soon after, also around the Isipatana area, the Buddha met up with Yasa and later his 54 friends. So soon, there were the first 60 enlightened disciples. And in this particular sutta, from the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter number 4, sutta number 5, the Dutiya Marapasa Sutta, the Buddha says, at one time, the Buddha was staying near Varanasi in the deer park of Isipatana. The Buddha said this, "Monks, I am freed from all snares, both human and divine. You are also freed from all snares, both human and divine." So the Buddha is saying, all of us, that means the Buddha and all the first 60 enlightened disciples there, all are arahats. They are freed from all snares. Wander forth, monks, for the welfare, happiness of the people, out of compassion for the world, for the benefit, welfare, happiness of gods and humans. Let not two go by one road. So clearly, the Dhamma, as the Buddha has shared with this, the first 60 arahats, are for our welfare, our happiness, for our benefit. And why do they share? Out of compassion for the world. So the 45 years of teaching of the Buddha was also out of compassion for the world. The sutta continues. Teach the Dhamma that's good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, meaningful and well phrased, and reveal the spiritual practice that's entirely full and pure. There are beings with little dust in their eyes. They are in decline because they haven't heard the teaching. There will be those who understand the teaching. So the last paragraph here is critical. Why? Because there are also beings with much dust in their eyes. Not everyone we share the Dhamma with will understand, but there are those with little dust in their eyes. So it is because of these few people with little dust in their eyes that the Buddha and all these enlightened disciples go out and share the teaching. And we should not be disappointed when people do not understand what we are talking about. Now, this particular aspect of the exhortation of the Buddha to the first 60 enlightened disciples is also recorded in the Vinaya Pitaka, the Mahavagga. And in a way, this forms the mission of the Sangha. And the Buddha went to teach out of compassion for 45 years. Here are many of the artistic renditions of the people the Buddha encountered, the chief disciples, people who tried to accuse the Buddha of certain bad deeds, and some people who tried to kill the Buddha also. The Buddha trying to stop wars. The Buddha skillfully helped a mother to overcome the death of her child, and of a queen who was infatuated by her extreme beauty, and also to help a lady who was so distraught that on the same day, within 24 hours, she lost her father, mother, brother, husband, and 2 children. Okay, she later became a nun, and she led a group of other disciples also to attain enlightenment. And one of the pictures at the bottom also indicate the acquisition of the land, the Jeta Grove, to be later built by Ananda Pitaka into Jetavana Monastery, where many lectures, including this Mangala Sutta, which we have been sharing past few months, was delivered. Towards the end of the Buddha's life, this particular extract from the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, from the Dika Nikaya Sutta number 16, is of importance. The Buddha said, "Now, if a thought occurs to any of you, the teaching has lost its arbitrator or lost its teacher. We are without a teacher. Do not view it this way," the Buddha said. "Whatever Dhamma Vinaya I have pointed out and formulated for you, that will be your teacher after my passing." So the Buddha was very clear about who would be the teacher. It is the Dhamma Vinaya, as the Buddha has shared with all those he encountered. And this particular part is also very important from the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Now, in the social media, there is a lot of silly ideas put forward by people about the last words of the Buddha. Here, quoting from the Mahaparinibbana Sutta as recorded, the Buddha said, "Andadani bhikkhave amantayami yo, vaya dhamma sankhara apamadena sampadeta. Behold now, monks, I exhort you, all compounded things are perishable. Strive with heedfulness." These were the last words of the Buddha. That means even with the last words of the Buddha was still teaching. And after that, the body went through various stages of parinibbana. And of course, the Buddha taught for 45 years. It's very voluminous as recorded. But for those of us who want a simple summary of what the Buddha taught, here in Dhammapada verse 183, the Buddha taught, "Sabba papasa akaranang kusalasa upasampada sacitta paridapadang etang buddhana sasana." That we should avoid all evil, do good, purify your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. So this is a useful guide for practitioners as well as for us to share the Dhamma with other people if they want a short answer to what is Buddhism about, what did the Buddha teach. Sat Dhammo Cirang Titatu. May the good doctrine long endure. Sabbe Satta Sukhi Hontu. May all beings be happy. And of course, in 10 days' time, we will be observing. So may you all have a fruitful Vesak observance, commemorating the Tri-Sacred Day. So with that, I hand the floor back to the MC.
Very much, Brother Ananda, for today's sharing. Now let's dedicate some merits to all beings, whether they are seen and unseen. Akasatha Chabummata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang Tamanumuditwa Chiram Rakantu Loka Sasanang Ettavata Cha Amhehi Sampadang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Sabbe Bhuta Sabbe Satta Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Idame nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. And aspirations. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavani bana pattiya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Thank you everyone for watching. For other videos, please visit the links below. So we'll have a e-visa on Visa Day on the 22nd, and do join us every from the 15th onwards. Every night we have evening chanting starting at 8:30. See you all. Bye bye.